some important function elsewhere for the number of absentees we've got. So I hope they'll enjoy themselves as much as we will. Okay. I'll just welcome Councillor Eden. If we normally invite people to stand up so we can see who you are, what you are, so that we know we don't pass you in the building and accuse you of being an intruder. Welcome to Broadland. Congratulations on your win at the election, and we look forward to seeing more of you. Unfortunately, Natasha, I believe, is ill, and Brianne has just stood down as of today, but we'll deal with that later. Welcome, thank you. Okay. Apologies for absence, Dawn. We'll give you 5 minutes.
Declarations in your fire drill.
Oh, sorry. In the absence of my vice chairman, who is, I'm not sure whether anyone knows, but is she still in hospital? Does anyone know? Councillor, do you want to give a quick update, Councillor Gurney, on? I've not heard from her for a couple of days.
I communicated with Sue Pratton yesterday. She is still in the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital on the orthopaedic unit. Sue had a fall in her kitchen and she fractured her neck and femur. So she's had surgery and she is recovering and she's waiting now for discharge before Christmas. So I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'll take over the Vice Chairman's major role of a meeting, which is to read the fire drill. Your safety and well-being is important to us, so take a moment to get... We're not expecting... It says, please take care and carefully read this notice. That just proves that you shouldn't automatically read what's in front of you. Okay, we're not expecting a fire drill today, so if the fire alarm sounds, we will evacuate the building. There are 2 fire exits in this room, through the double doors where you came in and those behind at the back of the room. Please know that you should not use the lift in the event of a fire. The other fire exit is through the door to the right, my left, at the front, which leads to the external fire escape. And we meet in the left of the driveway at the main entrance to Thorpe Lodge if an event occurs. Thank you. Dawn, absence. Oh, sorry.
We did have a pre-meet, didn't we?
We did have a pre-meet. Yeah, I blame my medication. I am here under sufferance of a bad cold and flu. I missed county on Tuesday, but I made it here tonight. Okay. Do we have any declarations of interest from members? No, that's good. So for the 3rd time, Dawn.
It's not that I'm trying to avoid it, Chairman. We have received apologies from the following councillors. Councillors Pratton, Adams, Bullman, Crotch, Davis, Harpley, Harrison, Hempsall, Holland, Creamy Govenloo, Kelly, King, Kay Leggett, Moncur, Neeson, Riley, Starling and Kay Vincent. Thank you, Chairman.
Any others from the floor? Councillor Beadle's on his way.
Sorry, did you say was Councillor Peck included on your list? Could you add Councillor Peck, please?
Okay, right, moving on. So, crikey, just as you said it, that is. Yep, no, I've just been told you were on your way. I didn't realise you were on the top step. I was on the top step. Right, okay. Can we confirm the minutes of the 13th of October, please? Thank you very much indeed. And do we have any matters arising? Okay, thank you. Moving on to receive announcements. I'll just mention a couple of comments on my announcements. What myself and the vice chairman, until she fell over, had been busy representing Broadland. St Martin's 50th anniversary gala. I was very pleased actually to sit next to Colin Bland, one of our previous chief executives, who's a trustee of St Martin's, and I can confirm that Colin looks a lot younger than he did when he worked here. So it must be retiring from local politics is a good idea. Community Heart Awards, again, I was really impressed with the actual standard and the hard work the volunteers around Broadland actually put in. And when you look at, I think there was a guy there who got an award who was 92. I think that gives us all hope that we can carry on at least beyond Ken Leggett. The opening of the Swallowtail Place, which is an amazing independent living scheme in Acle, which is, I think, the second one of Norfolk. The early one was in Fakenham, and I understand there's work to produce another couple of similar units throughout Norfolk, which is a amazing affordable housing for over 55s, which Broadland planning and housing had a great deal of input in right from the start. And then finally, I actually opened a show house at the Oaks development at Posick, which is I think it's 125 social houses being paid for, sponsored by Legal and General Insurance. They're moving into the residential affordable housing market, and I think the plan or the ambition is to build that 125 units within the first 12-15 months, which is quite amazing. And most developments build about 50 or 60 units a year. And on that, I have no further comments. As I say, we have dealt with, unfortunately, my vice chairman falling over and breaking a hip. So I'll call on the leader.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to update council following the announcement I made at previous council meeting on the county deal. You hopefully will be aware that on the 8th of December, the county deal in principle was signed by the leader of county council and a minister called Lee Rowley, who's one of the ministers from the Levelling Up department. Key aspects that were part of the deal was basically from 2024. The intent is to then move forward on targeting funding and resources to Norfolk's own growth and infrastructure priorities, to attract and retain new and key businesses and sectors, invest in skills that we know we all need, unlock housing and employment sites, and generally raise the profile of Norfolk. Linked to that, as district and other districts also have the same concern around the infringement of our sovereignty and the risks of undermining local democracy. And as such, one of our own actual district leaders from Broadland has worked hard as the chairman of the DCN and has achieved an amendment to the clause 16, which is the important one that causes some issues for us, which will enable or defer to stop the transfer of district functions to county authorities. So again, that's quite an interesting or an important element that's been brought through in that way. Beyond that, as far as moving forward, the county deal, as I said last time, isn't for us to make a decision on. We can talk a lot about it, but unfortunately we don't have a say in its conclusion. That will fall to any twin hatters that are here, but it will be a county decision which they will make next year. my understanding of the timetable is that the signing of the deal that as was done will be ratified by county at their meeting, at a special meeting in January. There's likely to be a consultation that will follow that, and ultimately the detail will be sorted out. And at a later point, I believe it to be December next year, our county colleagues will then finally have to make a choice and effectively change their constitution if they want to take the deal forward, or at that point they will stop it if it's not what they want to move forward with. Obviously, as something that brings additional funding to Norfolk, it's a great opportunity for us to be able to be in control of new powers, additional money that can make a difference to our residents, make a difference to Norfolk. But as with all these things, I think we've just gone beyond the end of the beginning, and now we start with the rest of how it stands, how it gets worked out, and what it looks like. So I just want to let council know, really, that's where County Deal is at this point in time. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Cabinet members? Judy?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to give an update on the corgis. The sculptures have all been collected from their summer travels at the end of October. They've enjoyed a pampering from the artist tin house, all back to looking their best. They're currently inside for winter while we find their next home, all bar one of them, because we have had confirmation that the royal household would love to receive Susan the corgi as a gift from the council in recognition of our late Queen. They would like to have her at Sandringham. The representatives we've been dealing with are working to arrange a formal handover and launch. And just to remind anyone that isn't aware, Susan was the Queen's first corgi she received when she was 18. So that's the one we've chosen to gift. We've got further along the line with an auction. Horners of Acle have offered to run an online auction for us early in February. They have significant online experience, attract a global market, and have advised us that this would be the most effective way of encouraging a wider audience and garner the highest bids for each sculpture. They are offering their services for free and will market 4 of the corgis through their existing networks and particularly target high-end markets. We'll run a marketing campaign alongside this and target larger businesses in the district and wider county. The chairman's charity, Nelson's Journey, will benefit from the sale of the corgis, and the 2 others are being retained by us. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you, Chair. The UK Shared Prosperity Fund replaces the European Structural Funds and is central to the government's levelling up agenda. And I'm really pleased to announce that Broadland District Council has been allocated just over 1.3 million, and that was subject to receipt of a compliant investment plan. And I'm delighted to announce that today the Broadland investment plan has been approved. So that's really good news. More inward investment for Broadland. Thank you.
Judy?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to tell you about Broadland Bins, which is an app which will be available on the 19th of December. It's probably available now. It is available now, certainly on the Apple Store, and also should be available for Android devices. This app will tell you or remind you of the date of your bin collections and the type of bin which will be collected. And it will also remind you that you can dispose of textiles, small electricals and batteries. And anyway, so I hope you'll all look at that. I'm sure you will all tell me if you find anything awry. The recycling rates, normally these are produced by the government, and so we can look and see where we are in relation to other councils. Unfortunately, they've had trouble actually getting the countrywide statistics of being available, and they will be available in the spring. But I'm pleased to tell you that for the 21-22 year, our recycling rate was 50.6. 0.6 is quite important. And that is made up of dry recycling, which is 21.4%, and green waste, i.e. garden waste and food waste, at 29.2%. And in the first 7 months of the collection of textiles, batteries and small electrical items, we collected 80 tonnes in total, which was taken out of the residual waste stream. So that's all good news. Of course, we'd like our recycling rate to be higher still, but we're still, of course, the highest in Norfolk. On the environment front, the environmental strategy and action plan, which, as most of you know, has been refurbished, will be on the website in January. And you'll be able to see it all there. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Fran?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to say, obviously, it's a difficult time for so many people across our district and across the country, really. So I know the communities team and the housing team, well, and planning too, have all been working very, very hard to support people. So I'd like to give them a big thank you. But particularly, I wanted to remind people that the Help Hub is there for them, not just when they get into crisis, but before then. Many people won't have experienced difficulties as they're experiencing now with their finance and with housing. And I would urge them to come forward before they get to an absolute crisis. So just a reminder, really, the Help Hub numbers 0603 430 431, or you can email them helphub@southnorfolk and broadland.gov.uk, or there's lots more information on the website. So just a reminder, really, please, if anyone in your patch is struggling, get them to come forward and we'll do what we can to support them. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Head of Page Service?
No notices. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you. Item 6, questions, we have none. Public speaking, we have none. Over and Scrutiny Committee, can we receive the minutes? Councillor Mole.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to present the meetings, minutes of the meetings on the 25th of October, 15th of November and 22nd of November. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that agreed? Accepted. Cabinet minutes of the 1st of November on standards. Leaders, nothing, just the minutes to receive on that.
Thank you, Chairman. Just the minutes from the 1st of November to receive, followed by the minutes of the 29th of November to also receive, but there are some items that the Council has to do business on those elements.
Okay.
First one of those is item 10.1, which I would ask the finance portfolio holder to present.
Yes, thank you. So there's two of the items. The recommendations in the cabinet minutes are at page 64, or they're on page 2 of the papers that you have in front of you. The first one is the changes to the land charges fees. This is to cover the cost of the services and to ensure that only the residents that use the service pay for this service rather than all residents. And the second item is the remote working capital budget, which has already been allocated. The 135,000 is brought forward to 22-23. So I'd like to put those two forward, please.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Emsall, do you wish to speak now or wait? Any other comments? If not, we have a proposal and a seconder. Can we put it to the vote, please? Those in favour? That looks like, is it?
I think that's unanimous, Chairman. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That moves us on then to item 10.2, minute number 62, best in class housing temporary accommodation. Again, I'd ask the portfolio holder of housing, well-being and planning. I've probably got that in the wrong order to present that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. I say, obviously, the recommendations are just on page 3, but also page 66 as well. The recommendations focus upon finances. and obviously we need to look at our finances. For many, many years, we've been spending in the region of £250,000 supporting bed and breakfast for temporary accommodation. We've had some modelling done, and worst case scenario, if, say, the difficult crisis we're in actually bites as bad as it could do, we could be spending £2 million a year or thereabouts on temporary accommodation. So we needed to do things differently, and I'm really pleased to say that this is taking a different approach. But fundamentally, what underscores everything we do is people. This is about people taking the right approach to support people when they're at their most difficult place possibly ever. So by buying our own properties and managing our own properties, we can ensure that people get, accommodation of the standard that we want to give them. And so, that's why I would urge you to support this. So the recommendations are on page 3 and page 66, as I say. And I'd propose that to you. Thank you. And questions?
Sorry, Councillor Gurney.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Is the Cabinet Member for Housing, Planning, etc., able to advise us of any further progress on the purchase of any properties that they may have had in mind, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, Councillor. We're obviously progressing at the moment with property in Helsden. We are trying to, we are getting surveys, etc., done, but obviously this is quite difficult at the moment, trying to get people there. But we are well down the road of getting this done, and also we're trying to get quotes for the refurbishment, and that is particularly testing at the moment, trying to get builders to do that. So yeah, we are well down the road, but we're not quite there yet. As soon as we are, I shall let you know, because I should be pleased as punch, really. But we are still in a process at the moment. Thank you.
I haven't had a seconder yet, but I do have a second now. You carry on.
You had a seconder before. I was sitting here waiting,
Sorry.
but yes, I'm happy to second, and I'll reserve my right to speak.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that response, Councillor Waymark. I ask that because at our parish council meeting on Tuesday evening this week, we did have a deputation of residents come and ask what was going on, because they have seen an increased amount of activity outside a specific property in Helsden. So I'm pleased that you can update us, and I'm sure that if there is any more information, you'll let us know. Otherwise, I'm happy to also second. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? If not, can we go to the vote? Oh, sorry, Councillor Beadle.
Thank you, Chairman. This authority historically hasn't spent a lot on temporary accommodation for the homeless, and the reason for this, Chair, is that it's been very successful in prevention. And if you prevent homelessness, you don't have to pick up the tab. But it's even worse than that, Chairman. It's worse than picking up the tab. It's a devastation in which homelessness affects families, and they're not just the people who are actually rehoused, but all their extended family and friends and employment and everything else. In which case, Chairman, why is it that the previous policy of preventing homeless is no longer working?
Would you care to respond?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Much as I agree with much of what you said, I don't agree that the policy of prevention of homelessness is not working. There has always been homelessness. There always will be homelessness. However, as a council and as a caring council, we do our absolute utmost to put people in the most appropriate accommodation that we can. The reason for the cost currently is because we're having to use bed and breakfast, and the cost of that is going up and up and up. I don't quite understand where you're coming from, really. I'll be frank with you, because we do a very good job of making sure that people are not homeless. Not only are they not homeless, if they come to us, we put them into the best possible accommodation that we can. be that bed and breakfast or whatever else. We also have a very, very successful team working with people who are rough sleeping, which you could class as homeless as well, if you wish, under your description. However, we work with rough sleepers too on a day-to-day basis. In fact, Councillor Thomas come out with myself once on account one morning at 6 o'clock, a very cold morning, as I recall, to actually go out checking the roads and lay-bys and whatever to find people. So we work very, very hard to support our most vulnerable residents. And I will, you know, defend that to the hill. Thank you.
If I can come back, Chairman, by the time the council is picking up people and families and put them in bed and breakfast and temporary accommodation, they are already homeless. They have already had their family support systems devastated. They are homeless. It is prevention. What we're talking about here is actually picking up the results of homelessness, not preventing it. We ought to be continuing the previous policies of actually liaising with various landlords, with the lenders and everybody else, where and family budgeting and everything else, which is a precursor of homelessness. Homelessness is actually the result of family difficulties, whatever the cause. And what this report is dealing with is actually homelessness, and we should be looking at prevention.
I have Councillor Vincent and then Councillor Roper.
Thank you, Chairman. Bit gobsmacked by almost the made-up stuff that's coming from Councillor Beagle.
That is
I would like
that is
to
bullshit. I've been homeless. I know all about it.
I would like to refer you to an earlier item on tonight's agenda, being the strategic performance report for Q2. In that report, it identified our improving performance in preventing homelessness. So I suggest you have a read of that and then come back with any questions that you may have. Happy to see if you want to go through those things. I'd also like to just emphasize the context to which we find ourselves in, having spent 2 years dealing with COVID. We've had the Ukraine situation and dealing with the people coming over from Ukraine, the asylum seekers, and now we find ourselves in the cost of living. So I think you're being very naive if you are looking at what is a strategic step that this council again is taking and leading the way forward in finding a way of offsetting future costs that is going to come through that we are going to have to put onto our residents, where sadly we do find that there are people's situations that their families break down or that they find themselves homeless for whatever reason, and we have to step in and help. But what we're doing here is creating the ability as a council to have more appropriate accommodation for them, better located accommodation for them, support for people, as the portfolio said, in their time of need, and as a council, providing better value for money as such. So I think all of this just puts it yet further, the steps that this council takes time and time again to be ahead and proactive in dealing with situations as they're emerging. And unfortunately, this is one of those ones over the coming years that is going to get worse, but we are trying to best position ourselves as a council to be in the right place to deal with it without it costing our residents through council tax a fortune, as the portfolio explained. So I will be very much supporting this and would hand back to you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Roper.
Move on. Thank you, Chairman. It's changing the subject a bit on this, and I support the policy, and I hope it will go further as years go by. With that in mind, my question is in terms of getting communities on side and just looking for a commitment as to what local members can expect and what our parish councils, for example, should be able to expect in terms of contact from the council when a property is under consideration, so that people aren't taken by surprise, that members are involved at an early stage, and just wondering if you could set that out, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I'm more than happy to liaise with local members. Obviously, there may be times where it can be confidential. There may be times where we have to be a little vague, dare I say. However, yeah, more than happy to let people know locally, you know, the direction of travel. Yeah, absolutely. There's no issue at all with that. More than happy, you know, to do that. I'll just finish there. Thank you.
Julie, Councillor Mancini more?
Am I the last?
I believe so.
Yep, that's fine. First of all, could I apologise for anyone listening to the live stream for Councillor Beadle's behaviour and language? It's completely inappropriate, and I'd like to remind him to read his papers in future, as Councillor Vincent has confirmed to him the figures in those papers. Secondly, I cannot believe that any one person in this room would be against this policy. So you are so behind the times, Councillor Beadle, I can't believe it. Yes, this is primarily really a finance paper, but as Councillor Wymark has said, we always have the community at the heart of everything we do in Broadland. That's why we have that on our logo. And so this definitely addresses that, as well as making the financial sense. And yes, I agree, Councillor Roper, if we need to go further, then that's something we'll need to do to go further. But at least we're grabbing the bull by the horns now and taking the first steps to solving this crisis, because it is a crisis. So I'm really, really happy that I've seconded this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've got three proposed. Can I propose that we take them all on block as a single vote? I have a proposal and a second. Those in favour, please.
That is unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. That moves us on to item 10.3, minute number 64, antisocial behaviour policy, which I would ask the portfolio holder for the environment to put forward for us.
Thank you. The antisocial behaviour policy has been through the Environment Excellence Panel, ONS, Cabinet, and also the police and housing associations have been consulted. The point of this policy is to provide a framework to which officers can work. It says when we'll do something, it says when we won't do something, and it will also say when we will stop doing things. So it also supports early intervention and efficient enforcement. I know that early intervention can help, but however, I also recognise that there are some occasions when antisocial behaviour requires the police to take action. But at least our officers have got the opportunity to visit complainants and also perhaps have more time than the police to sit down and talk them through their options. So I recommend this to you, and I propose that the council adopts the antisocial behaviour policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Copson? Thank you. Any debate? If not, we can go to the vote. Okay, can I propose we go to the vote then, please? Those in favour?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's carried with one exception. Yep, it's carried, Chairman.
Sorry. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. That moves on to item 10.4, which we're actually dealing with later on the agenda at item 21.1. So we won't cover that one at this point in time. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, item 11.
Chair.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, Councillor Roper.
Sorry, Chair. Now I've finished washing my desk. I'll ask a question.
I-
It's just a question on the minutes from the 1st of November, on minute, which is about the peer review action plan. And just a question to the leader, just in terms of member involvements going forwards. We've got a workshop coming up next week, and it's asking how member feedback will be taken on board and incorporated into the plan going forwards. because it would be useful to know that in advance of the workshop. So I think we're okay.
Do you want to take that, Sean? or-
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So thank you, Councillor Roper, for raising the meeting or the workshop on Monday. Please, everyone who can make it, be there. It's going to be an opportunity for us to go through the draft action plan as written at this point in time and to enhance it, improve it as we see fit. So those details will then, from that workshop, go into that action plan and we'll go forward in that way.
Thank you, Chair. So just to come back, so it's not set in stone at the moment. There is still the prospect of revision based on member feedback from the workshop and perhaps other sources.
Yes, that's what we said at the last meeting when we were dealing with the draft action plan and the fact that we would have the workshop to hopefully enhance it yet further.
Do you want to say anything? No. Do you wish to add anything? Trevor? No. Right. Okay. In which case we'll move on if we're happy with those answers. Going to call on the received decisions of the planning committee on the 5th of October, 2nd of November and 30th of November, please. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Chairman. Pleased to present the decisions of the meetings held on 5th of October, 2nd November and 30th of November. All matters were resolved except application 2022-0488, which was land at Buxton Mill, change of use for storage of canoes, which was deferred for further information on traffic movements. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Item 12, Order Committee. Can I ask Grant Nurden to present so we can receive the minutes? Thank you for that meeting of the 27th of October.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to present the minutes of the meeting of the 27th October for Council to receive. Just two things that I wanted to mention, and that is the audit of the 2020 to 2021 accounts was eventually completed, and we were able to sign those off with a clean slate, clean bill of health, or it was a clean report. The other thing is that the PSAA have awarded the audit of the 23-24 accounts and onwards for a period of 5 years to Ernst & Young, our current auditors, and we can expect that the audit fee is going to increase by 150%. We're hoping for a 150% improvement in the service that we receive from Ernst & Young. And the other thing to just mention is that the portfolio holder for finance and the finance team are aware of those impending costs. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Licensing and Regulatory Committee, the Chairman, Councillor King's not here tonight, and I don't believe anyone else that's sat on the particular committees are here either, so I'll move those from the chair that we received the non-exempt minutes of the meeting of the 23rd of November, which on page 90 of the agenda actually says it's a resolved issue. Moving on to 31 minute 11 of those minutes. Do you want to ask the monitoring officer just to explain this?
Thank you, Chairman. Just to confirm, in case councillors haven't seen the email that went round earlier today, this item is actually being pulled from the agenda this evening. The decision to set the Hackney carriage fares are actually an executive decision, so they will be going on to Cabinet in January for a decision, and therefore are withdrawn from this evening's agenda.
Thank you. Item 14, Standards Committee. Can I ask Councillor Brennan to present the minutes, and then also item 15 as well, but we'll do item 14 first. We received the minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so I just before I ask Council to received the minutes. If I can just touch briefly on the revised LGA Code of Conduct, which Standards Committee resolved that we should adopt from the start of 2023. It's worth noting that Norfolk County Council have already approved this, and that would then bring us into line with them. Hopefully other councils around Norfolk will follow suit. And just to remind again that a number of our parish councils within the district have already adopted this new code as well. It's not vastly different from the code we currently operate under. It's really just been slightly revised to bring it up to date for where we are now. It's not been looked at for 8 years, so it's slightly overdue. So
Okay.
I propose that council accept the minutes of the meeting that we held on the 15th of December. Sorry, not the 15th of December, the 1st of December. My apologies, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And do you also propose that we accept the code of conduct? Right. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
Chair, to make it cross-party, I'm happy to second that.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Roper. Do we have any debate on that, or can we take the vote? No debate. Can we? Those in favour, please.
That's unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you. Right. Okay. Item 16. Report of the monitoring officer, which. Sorry. Oh.
Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry.
So you have the monitoring officer report before you, starting at page 125. This is as a result of some changes that have been required, the result of a recent by-election, and you can see the 4 recommendations before you. I'm not going to get into those because today the world has changed and Councillor Cook has decided to resign, which means most of what's on that page is no longer relevant. So we now have to move forward, and there's certain items that I believe we can still deal with in relation to appointing people to replace, sadly, the late Councillor Shaw, and with the outside bodies. But there are some other bits that we can't deal with, and I'm going to hand over to the monitoring officer to run us through her tabled report, so we can then take that forward. So I'll hand over to the monitoring officer.
Thank you, Leader. So you have before you, should all have a copy of this in front of you. As Councillor Vincent has said, disregard the report on the agenda, and I'll talk you through the changes. So the report that was before you was a result of the by-election and the resignation of Councillor Thomas from the Conservative Party. We today received the resignation of Councillor Cook as a councillor, which means we needed to revisit the political balance again. So we were back to the version before the recent changes. Myself and Deputy Monitoring Officer Linda Mockford went through that this afternoon. You will see on what you have tabled before you the changes as highlighted on the old paragraphs 3.1 and 4.1, which ultimately mean that the Conservative Party will lose 1 seat and the Liberal Democrat group will gain 1 seat. A review of the allocations of seat across the committee indicates that the changes could either be on the appeals panel, the election arrangements committee, or the licensing committee. And this is a discussion that's normally had with group leaders to resolve where that change will happen. Obviously, as the resignation was received today, we haven't had the time to speak with group leaders about that. So there are items that I say on the following side we can resolve this evening, and there are a couple of items, therefore, that I'm then asking for delegation from the council to deal with those. So for absolute clarity, the business that can still be resolved this evening on the overside of what has been tabled is that the council agrees to the appointment of the chairman, Councillor Justine Thomas, and the vice chairman, Councillor Ken Kelly, on the Service and Improvement and Efficiency Committee, as set out in the original report. We can also resolve this evening that council agrees that Councillor Clancy replaces the late Councillor Shaw on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and also this evening that the council agrees to the appointment to the outside bodies as set out in the report. The other 2 recommendations do require some delegations that will enable me to meet with the group leaders after the meeting to resolve those two changes. We are therefore asking that Council agrees to delegate the reallocation of the Conservative Party committee seat to the Liberal Democrats on either the Appeals Panel, the Election Arrangements Committee or the Licensing Committee, and that conversation will happen in consultation with the Monitoring Officer, and then that the Council agrees to delegate the appointments therein as a result of any vacant seats that have arisen. Hopefully that's clear. We felt that that was the best way forward given the late notice of the resignation this afternoon, but Chairman, I am happy to take questions if there are any, because I appreciate it can be a bit confusing.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councillor Roper.
From past heated discussions on Zoom, I'm more than happy for committee places to be appointed under delegated authority. We've been over that one in the past, and I'm glad the council has finally moved down to that position. I just wonder under number 4, given that we're talking to about the 3 committees we're talking about don't have any meetings at all scheduled for the rest of this civic year, I do wonder if maybe this is a delegation too far and we can just sort this one out on the night. I'll happily move an amendment that the Liberal Democrats take the electoral arrangements committee place. If Sean wants to argue against that and vote that down, that's absolutely fine. We'll deal with it under delegation, but it just will be one small piece of work for Emma. As I say, it's a committee which isn't even scheduled to meet.
I was going to take. I need a proposal in a second anyway, so I was going to ask the leader to propose and then find a seconder. But if you want to comment first on what Councillor Roper said.
Yes, Councillor Roper called me earlier and did suggest that that would be an appropriate way forward. I haven't had a chance to catch the monitoring officer to find out whether that changes the recommendations or whether we go with the recommendations but know the outcome as has been suggested.
I would like to say yes, but unfortunately, Councillor Roper, you're not group leader, and I do need to speak with group leader, so apologies.
Yep.
Believe you me, I would much rather we deal with it, but I do need to speak with the group leader, so apologies. But
Okay, so on that basis, we move forward with the 5 recommendations that are before you.
the legislation is quite clear, and it is. I'm not being awkward. Believe you me, I would like to resolve this evening, and hopefully we can take this. We will take that away in the spirit that it is meant.
So thank you for that. Sometimes process just gets in the way. So anyway, so the 5 recommendations are before you on the reverse of the table paper. I'd like to put those to council.
I'll second that, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Those in favour? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Outside bodies. I'd like to thank the member champions for their contributions tonight. Councillor Potter's here. Councillor Prutton is not here, but thank you very much indeed. And moving on again, questions for members. 18.1 question from Councillor Laming.
Thank you, Chairman. UK biodiversity is in decline, and a spotlight will be on the subject during the COP15 event in Canada, which is going on now from the 7th to the 19th of December. Has Broadland District Council ever commissioned a report on the state of biodiversity in Broadland, and does it plan to do so in the near future?
Can I ask Councillor Leggett to respond to that?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Councillor Laming, for your question. The Council has previously engaged with Natural England, the Environmental Agency, Norfolk Wildlife Trust, and the Norfolk Biodiversity Partnership in the preparation of local plans. As a part of this process, the Council has also prepared sustainability appraisals, incorporating strategic environmental assessments and habitat regulation assessments. Both the engagement with these environmental bodies and the preparation of the aforementioned reports have informed the Council's local plan policies and the green infrastructure strategies. In addition to this work, work is currently underway to update the Greater Norwich Growth Board green infrastructure strategies. It was agreed as part of this work that there would be the need to conduct a biodiversity baseline study across the partnership area. This work is currently in the process of being scoped out with the view to go out to tender in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lehman, do you have a supplementary you wish to ask?
Yes, thank you. So an online search for biodiversity in Broadland, Norfolk, brought up the Norfolk Biodiversity Partnership, which has just been mentioned by Councillor Leggett. I think it involved about 20 different organisations, and I think Broadland, it sounds like Broadland was involved in that. The partnership was established in 1996, but the latest news post I could find was in 2019. So is the Norfolk Biodiversity Partnership still in place? And if not, why not?
Would you like to respond, Councillor Leggett?
Yes, I think to fully answer your question, Councillor Lamming, I think I will provide a written answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, 18.2, question from Councillor Gurney.
Thank you, Chairman. I apologise. Councillor King isn't here tonight, but this is a joint question from us. It is as written. A recent political leaflet from another party to ours, distributed in Helsden, which comprises 2 electoral wards situated in the Broadland District Council area, stated the Tories spent £8.5 million of your district council tax on new officers. Would the leader of Broadland District Council please confirm how much council tax money was actually spent by BDC to purchase a new office? My residents are asking me this. Thank you.
Can I ask the leader to respond, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Little surprised to find that that's the information that's gone out. Every member here, including those I believe that are responsible for that political leaflet, have access to the information around the purchase of the Horizon building. I can confirm that the price that Broadland paid was £3,550,000. Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up question, Councillor Gurney?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yes, given the context of the information that our leader has now presented to us at this council, would the leader agree with me that those residents who read this information in this leaflet were grossly misled?
In answer to your question, simply yes, I would. I'm quite frankly appalled that the Liberal Democrat group would promote false information and mislead residents with incorrect information. This is just wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Need to exclude the press and the public for the next item. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I've got another question. My apologies. My apologies, Mr. Roper. I was so keen to get away. Can we go to the supplement? Can we go to the supplementary agenda, please? And a question from Councillor Roper.
His earlier answer, but in case he wants to add anything more, would the leader please provide his views on the published Norfolk devolution deal and what this means for Broadland as a council of residents?
Thank you, Councillor Roper, for your question. Just to expand a little bit more on the county deal, this obviously is an opportunity for Norfolk. It brings new powers and decision making that will be made in Norfolk. It brings extra funding that hopefully will be used to make a real difference to the lives of people of Norfolk. How that will impact on Broadland residents at this point in time, I do not know. All I can say is if we're bringing extra funds, extra resources and correcting extra opportunities across Norfolk, then that's got to be a positive thing for Norfolk and for Broadland as part of that. Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up question?
Thank you. As a supplementary, could you say if you agree or disagree with the leader of South Norfolk District Council, who was quoted in the Eastern Daily Press as saying, "What is the point? It doesn't even absorb the Police and Crime Commissioner and proposes leadership which does not have any hands on the levers of planning, housing growth and the clean environment. This is even more government but doing less."
Okay, so thank you for that. I guess my answer is yes and no. So there's two ways of looking at that. We have what is on the table being offered to the county, as into Norfolk, a deal that, as I've already explained, will bring extra resources, extra funding, and extra powers to local decision making. The other side of that, which the leader of South Norfolk has identified, is being more ambitious and bringing other things forward that could form part of what's been phrased as future deals. So those things could be there. The leader of South Norfolk is promoting the a combined authority as a way forward, and that certainly would enable it to take those powers and perhaps be more ambitious, but that deal's not available to us at this point in time. So we're in a catch-22. We can go with what we've got, or we can hang out and still push for more. And I think what we'll see over the coming months is a bit of both as those two things move forward. So at this point in time, I would support the county deal with the information that I have of it, in the fact that it will bring extra to Norfolk. I have concerns in relation to the governance, and I have concerns in relation to will it ever fulfill what it's promising to do. I certainly have concerns about the capability of the county council to consume those extra responsibilities and to deliver on them. But these are all things that need to be resolved before county council actually decides if it's going to go forward next December. And that's where we are. So thank you, Councillor Roper.
Okay, thank you. We have no motions, so we'll move to exclusion of the press and the public, which I will read the script. And request that the members of the public be excluded from the meeting for the remaining items of business, because otherwise information which is exempt information by virtue of paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order 2006, will be disclosed to them. I don't believe we have any members of the public, so we can carry on.